A white male with a plaid shirt. Looks like this guy could be a redneck. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, this guy could be a redneck. Could he be a violent redneck? What if he finds out that I'm a woman? Might he beat me? Might he hurt me? Might he do something violent? I don't know. He gives him the card. The guy looks at the card, looks up at him, smiles, and sells him the thing. Now you might think, oh, okay, this is a reveal that what we thought was an evil white man is actually a really good guy, and you know, we had no reason to be afraid of him in the first place. No, that's not what they're saying in this ad. That's not actually what they're saying. The concept that MasterCard is trying to present here is that this guy's a white supremacist, and the only reason that he didn't physically assault this woman is because the card that she's presented to this evil white supremacist has the name Geo on it. And so the reason that he's smiling in this shot is because he's been tricked into thinking that this woman is a man. The name matches the card, so okay, sir, we're just gonna hand you your products here. And he's none the wiser. He's been fooled into believing this. So the evil white supremacist didn't murder this woman, not because he's actually a good guy, but because he's been tricked. Because of MasterCard. MasterCard saved this woman's life. We've seriously gone into complete and total crazy land here in America. The first ever transgender credit card.
Mr. Reagan.
So MasterCard has come out with the first credit card for transgender people. Okay. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like it makes sense, right? It seems like you're probably sitting there thinking, they get their own credit card now? What the hell is that about? I mean, how could you even make a credit card specifically for trans people? That doesn't even make sense. Why would a trans person need a specific credit card? What is it about a credit card that would make it better for trans people? Okay, so here's the insane thing MasterCard has done to allow trans people to feel more comfortable with their credit cards. They've created a credit card that you can put any name you want on it, any name in the world, and that's fine. If I identify as Donald Trump, I can put that on my credit card. That's fine because trans people, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, logically, here's why it doesn't make any sense at all. Because legally, any trans person in America, probably in most places in the world, can legally change their name if they want to. If you want to change your name to whatever, Rainbow Destiny or whatever, some kind of weirdo name that you want, you can change it to that. You just go to the county clerk or whatever it is, wherever it is that you do the name change thing. I've never done it myself, so I don't know exactly where you go, but I know people change their name all the time to weird stuff. You can change your name legally. Why would you have to put a different name on your credit card? Just go change your name. If you're going through all the trouble of transitioning, it seems like a simple legal name change wouldn't be, that huge of a deal. But apparently there's a lot of trans people who don't bother to change their name, but they still want everybody to address them by a different name. And so I guess MasterCard's giving them the opportunity to put that on their credit card. Now, there's one very obvious problem with this, which is that if you want to buy anything of any kind of significance, you want to go buy a wedding ring, or you want to go buy a boat, or you want to buy a car, and you slide your credit card on over to people, generally with major purchases, you will be required to show your ID. And if you haven't changed your name legally, and your name on the credit card says one thing, and your name on your ID says something else, you're not going to be able to buy that thing, right? You're going to be discriminated against, not because you're trans, but because you have the wrong name on your credit card, right? I mean, it's as if they're setting these people up to be discriminated against. It doesn't make any sense, okay? I mean, first of all, they're not being discriminated against. There's nobody in the world looking at somebody's credit card and going, "You're not a Julie. You look too masculine to be a Julie. You're a girl." That's not happening, okay? Anywhere where you have a significant number of trans people, New York, LA, right? Occasionally some dude in a wig and lipstick walks in. This idea that there's tons of people in the world rejecting you because, you look like a chick, but you got a dude's name or something like that. All right, this is a little bit off the cuff, this video. So some of what I'm saying, it's not scripted. So this is just my thoughts, right? So I will say, if you haven't subscribed to my comedy channel yet, please pause the video and do so. I'm going to have some awesome stuff on there coming up in some of the videos anyway. I pretend to be a leftist, and it's quite funny. Anyway, I got a new video coming out on that. So go ahead and subscribe to that. In the meantime, you're going to have to sit through an ad before we get to this crazy trans video because I've got to pay the bills. I am sorry. I don't want to show you ads. I don't want to show you ads, but I have to pay for the amazing luxury in which I live. So, without further ado, I think we're talking about Noble Gold. Let's get into it. Diversifying your investment is like building a sports team. Each asset plays different roles. You have offensive players, assets that make gains and pay dividends, but equally important is your defensive line, assets that will protect the value of your investment. And there's a 5,000-year-old asset that's seen every world crisis that there ever was and thrived. Gold and other precious metals. The oldest hedge against inflation and disaster. Your stability insurance. If you put gold into an IRA, you even defer the tax on all gains until you retire. So you get compound growth on everything. That can add thousands of dollars to your fund over the years. And you'd have stability, peace of mind that you made the right choice. Take out an IRA with Noble Gold this month, and along with first-class service, they'll be gifting you a 1/10 ounce gold bullion American Eagle coin. To find out more, go to their website, noblegoldinvestments.com, or call them at 877-646-5347. Again, noblegoldinvestments.com, or call them 877-646-5347. Yeah, I do apologize for that. But you know what? That's capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta pay for my food and my apartment and my cat's food and my beautiful wife and, the various things that she needs. Anyway, this video only has 9,000 views. This is the weird thing. Okay. Now, this is not posted on the official MasterCard YouTube channel. It's posted on a channel from Alfred Verhoeven. Now, I don't know if this guy created the ad or if he's just somebody who liked the ad. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, he's posting this on his channel. But he's only got 9,000 views on here. But it's got 39 likes and 152 dislikes. So almost 4 times as many dislikes as likes. So let's just watch this ad. This is the newest one they've come out with. This is for 2021, but they've had this card for about a year now. So I'll play another ad in a minute, but this is the ad they got out now. Let's play this.
For transgender people, a secure payment doesn't mean protecting yourself from someone buying sneakers with your card. No, if you're transgender, a secure payment means paying for something without being judged, questioned, disrespected, humiliated, harassed, even assaulted, simply because the name on your card doesn't match how you identify. This is about more than just keeping a card safe. It's about keeping us safe. True Name by MasterCard. The first card that allows you to display your chosen name because that's who you truly are.
Okay, so this Asian dude, right? This is obviously a chick who's transitioned. She's taken some kind of hormones and now she's got a mustache. So it's a chick with a mustache and short hair, and she wants to be known as, what's the name on the card here? Geo. She wants to be known as Geo. My name's Geo. I'm a tough dude. It's funny, I listened to this NPR thing years ago about a chick who had transitioned to a dude, and she was like this real tough lesbian chick. And when she transitioned to a dude, and people actually thought she was a dude, they used to pick on her. They used to physically push her and stuff like that. And she goes, nobody would have dared push me when I was a woman. But ever since I became a guy, everybody's pushing me around like I'm, some kind of little bitch. And the reason is because as a woman, she seemed like a very tough girl. And people don't want to hit a girl. So you just kind of have to deal with it if a girl acts really tough with you. But if a guy has a bit of an attitude, but they're real tiny, other guys are just going to knock him over. And so that was what she was like. She would act kind of try to be all tough, but she was 5'2", this tiny little guy, and people would just shoulder her, thinking it was a guy. And she just got pushed around a lot. And she was like, man, I thought I was going to be this like really cool, tough guy. She goes, I transitioned and I found out like I wasn't a cool, tough guy. I was a nerd. So yeah, I think a lot of these people, they transition thinking that they're going to be one thing. It's like, man, I would love to transition into having Brad Pitt's abs, but that's a lot of work I got to do. I don't even know if that's possible. I suppose with plastic surgery, anything's possible. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these girls, they're never going to be the guys that they imagine they're going to be. It's all a fantasy. It's all this ridiculous, absurd fantasy, and we indulge it in our society. And God, it's just making our society crazier and crazier and worse and worse. And these people aren't normal people. I mean, they're not sane. They're actually dangerous people. And we indulge this kind of dangerous psychology, where if they feel like you don't like them or you don't agree with them, they feel like they can lash out at you, they can attack you, they can do vicious things against you. And it's not just trans people, it's the trans activists, other people who don't identify as trans, but they defend trans people and the whole trans thing. They're bad people, in my experience. So the thing first noticed about this ad that annoyed me is that this girl who's pretending to be a guy has this look of fear the whole time, the whole video. She's walking around like, don't hurt me. I'm trans. Oh gosh, golly, I hope you don't notice that I'm actually a girl, despite the fact that, I'm a guy, and well, let's see if this works. I'm going to give you my credit card, and hopefully you just accept that I'm Geo, that I'm the guy Geo. See this shot here, he's looking up like, oh gosh, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? And then they show clips of all these different trans people, and they all look a little bit scared. They all look a little bit innocent. I'm just an innocent trans person. I would never hurt anybody. I'm a victim. And that's, of course, the other reason why being trans, is kind of, I guess I would say, attractive to some people, or why some people are motivated to do the whole trans thing, or to at least say they're trans or something, because you get a lot of victim points for it, because there's this whole narrative that trans people are victimized. The only way that you're victimized is that I don't believe you're actually a woman. You say you're a woman because you're wearing a wig. Don't believe it. Don't accept it. Sorry. And so just because I say that, some trans folks will say, well, okay, who am I kidding? All trans people, I mean, except for maybe a very, very few, just about every trans person will say that in itself is violence against me. That's a crime. You're victimizing me by saying that I'm not a woman. No, I'm not. Okay, no, I'm not. I'm not. We just have a different idea about who you are. You have every right to say that you're a woman, and I have every right to say that you're a man. You're not victimizing me by pretending to be a woman, and I'm not victimizing you by telling you I don't think you're a woman. Neither of us are victimizing each other. We just have a different perspective about who you are. That's why America's great. We all have our own perspectives, and we're all supposed to be free to be able to express them. Let's see if this is censored on social media. I know on Twitter I would get banned for saying this, so just got to keep it to YouTube. But this is the thing that I noticed just watching it this time, which I hadn't noticed before, which is that the guy that he's going to buy the stuff from is a white male with a plaid shirt, right? And this guy's pretty white, right? He's pretty white. Like he's pretty tall guy. He's balding, got the sandy blonde hair, a few crooked teeth. Looks like this guy could be a redneck. Oh gosh, this guy could be a redneck. Could he be a violent redneck? What if he finds out that I'm a woman? Might he beat me? Might he hurt me? Might he do something violent? I don't know. And then after we go through all these trans people who look so sad and they look so vulnerable and so they're such victims, he gives him the card. The guy looks at the card, looks up at him, smiles, and sells him the thing. Now you might think, oh, okay, this is a reveal that this, what we thought was an evil white man, is actually a really good guy, and we had no reason to be afraid of him in the first place. No, that's not what they're saying in this ad. That's not actually what they're saying. The concept that MasterCard is trying to present here is that this guy's a white supremacist, and the only reason that he didn't physically assault this woman is because the card that she's presented to this evil white supremacist has the name Geo on it. And so the reason that he's smiling in this shot is because he's been tricked into thinking that this woman is a man. The name matches the card, so okay, sir, we're just going to hand you your products here. And he's none the wiser. He's been fooled into believing this. So the evil white supremacist didn't murder this woman, not because he's actually a good guy, but because he's been tricked, because of MasterCard. MasterCard saved this woman's life. This ad is unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. I would do a parody of it, but it's so absurd. I'm not even sure how to do a parody of an ad this absurd. So apparently MasterCard thinks that white men working at service stations or convenience stores are evil white supremacists, and the only way that you can get out of there alive as a trans person is to have a name that matches how you look on your credit card. We've seriously gone into complete and total crazy land here in America. Now, this was not received well. Even so, this video here, I can read some of the comments, and I'm just reading straight through here. Sarah, whose last name I can't even pronounce, writes, "Right, so I guess now I can put any name I decide to be." Dirty Steve, he says, "I'm gonna bet MasterCard used their real name on a credit report." And then Jackie Fox and Friends responded to Dirty Steve and writes, "Of course they would, since they haven't legally changed their name yet. Not doing so would basically be fraud." Right, and so that's another problem that comes up. The names that we have, the legal names that we have, identify us, and we're legally required to use those names in a variety of types of documents. Parker Shannon writes, "Like the cops and skip tracers don't have enough problems now, you're going to see these people moving from chosen name to chosen name to chosen name, leaving felonies and huge debts behind." My guess is that obviously the credit card has to be registered in your name, and then the name on the front is just nonsense, right? It's just for show. It doesn't actually mean anything. Joe Meatball writes, "Well, they'll never see my business." So this is not going over well. Most of the people watching this, they realize this is ridiculous. It's just posturing. It's just virtue signaling. It doesn't mean anything. There's one positive comment. There's one positive comment. This guy writes, "This is absolutely amazing. This is a real tangible step toward protecting transgender people and lessening their risk of facing violence and hate." and basically all the responses to this guy is just people laughing at him. And that's the whole point, right? That's the point that I wanted to make this video for. It's like the way that they are marketing this card, it's like this is going to stop violence and hate against transgender people. The problem with that is that the violence and hate narrative against transgender people, it's a fake narrative. It's a false narrative. It's not real. There is no violence and hate against transgender people. This is not a problem in America. They just don't face the kind of abuse that the mainstream media pretends that they face. So taking this tangible step toward reducing violence against transgender people, it's just idiotic. It's not only are they not facing violence and hate, they're not even facing any kind of discrimination. Nobody says you can't do business here because you're transgender. That's just not happening in America. But MasterCard is, of course, pretending that it is. Even right here at the beginning, when transgender people use a credit card with a name that doesn't match their appearance, it can put them at risk, it says. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? What do you mean it can put them at risk? What are you talking? And then they have all these interviews of people who are recounting stories about how they felt threatened. And let's listen to some of the clips.
So I handed him my credit card.
Look down, look back up at me.
Oh, wait, so you're really a girl?
If we see you again, we're basically going to kick your ass.
My friends were like, the guy has a knife.
Then I was like really paranoid about it, and it really f***ed me up.
Okay, so they've got 3 different clips from 3 different stories. One of the stories starts with, "So I handed the guy my credit card." Now, how does that story end? The story might have ended, "He processed my order and I went away." That could be the entire story. We don't know what the rest of the story is, because then we switch to somebody else who says they look down, they look back up at me. That's what everybody does when they look at, not a credit card typically, but an ID usually. So I don't know, were they at the airport? I don't know what that story was about. That could be in something completely different. Then this guy says, "Go away, you're really a girl." Okay, what's his story? I don't know. See, this is the trick here. They combined a bunch of different stories, which have absolutely nothing to do with each other. They put little clips in, and then they've smashed it together to make a narrative that is just a jumble of a bunch of other narratives to present the sense of something scary or something dangerous. And so then the next person says that somebody told him to get out of here. If we see you again, we're going to beat you up. Then the next person says that they were dealing with somebody with a knife. Then the next person says they were messed up because of this experience. Now, none of these stories are the same story. We have no idea if any of these stories have anything to do with discrimination and a credit card, right? But the idea that MasterCard card is trying to present here is that all these stories are about somebody who tried to buy something with a credit card, and then they were put in a very dangerous situation because they were trans and they were using a credit card that had a name with a gender that differed from how they looked, right? That's what they're trying to present here. But none of these stories actually indicate that. This is all a smokescreen. This is all misdirection. This is all deception. So is this actually going to help anything in the world? Is this actually going to help anybody? No, it isn't. The big problem that I have right now with the whole transgender thing, I mean, I have a lot of problems with the whole transgender thing. I think a lot of it, like I said, is indulging people with psychological problems and not encouraging them to get treated for these problems, but saying, you don't have a psychological problem, you're just a woman inside or whatever. But another major problem that I've kind of come to recognize, transgender people, as far as I can tell, most of them, the vast majority of these transgender people, the people who are, looking for these very specific, bizarre pronouns and all this kind of stuff, a lot of these guys, especially the young ones, especially the teenagers, they're looking for a way to control other people. So most people in everyday life don't have a lot of control over the other people that they interact with, just in everyday circumstances. You don't have control over your boss. You don't have control over your coworkers usually. You don't have control over your parents. You don't have control over your siblings. You don't have control over your friends. You really don't have control over most people. I mean, if you're in middle management or you own a company or you are in politics or something like that, then, maybe you have some control over some people to some degree. If you're a billionaire or you're the president of a country or something like that, maybe then you got a lot more control over a lot more people. But most people in everyday life don't have a lot of control over other people. But the transgender thing is a great way to control people, because you can lecture basically anybody you come across as to which pronouns that they're allowed to use with you. And if they don't use the right pronouns, then you can scold them, right? And so you can lecture them and you can scold them, basically, depending on how they react to you, if you insist on picking some kind of bizarre gender. Now, what I tend to see on, I look up these videos on TikTok all the time because I make these compilation videos of the crazy people on TikTok talking about their gender pronouns. And it really does seem like, okay, this is how I'm going to control other people around me. They're going to know that I'm the boss of them. I demand to be respected. And as a sign of your submission, you are going to bow to me. You are going to submit to me. You're going to kneel. But that kneeling and that bowing and that submission is going to be signified in your saying the pronouns that I demand that you say.
My New Year's resolution is to bully people into using my pronouns. If I tell you my pronouns are they, he, you're gonna use they, he, bitch.
I know I don't pass. I know. But you still have to use my pronouns. You do. Shocking, I know, but you have to.
These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns. You will use them, or you will not refer to me.
In the show Breaking Bad, Walter White realizes that one of the people that he's doing business with is afraid of him. He realizes that he has a reputation now. He's talking to this guy, he's doing this deal, this drug deal, and so in the scene, he realizes, oh wow, I'm actually a pretty powerful person. This is great. In that moment, he thinks, okay, I'm gonna make this guy submit to me. I'm gonna make this guy do something. Not because it's going to help me in any way, not because it's going to help the deal, not because it's going to benefit me or benefit the working relationship, nothing. Just as a matter of ego, I'm going to make this guy say my name. And he does. He demands that this guy says his name. Of course, it's not his real name. It's not Walter White. It's nom de plume. It's a pseudonym. Heisenberg. He goes by Heisenberg. That's how everybody knows him in the drug world. So he says, say my name. And the guy goes, Heisenberg.
Now, say my name. Heisenberg. You're right.
But anyway, what was being presented in that scene was precisely the psychology of these kids, right? These kids are acting like little tyrants. They want to control the people around them. They want this sense of authority. They want you to submit to them. And if you don't, they will scold you. You will be lectured. You will be demeaned by them, and they feel like they have total authority to do that. They can have this sort of righteous indignation because they believe that they have the moral high ground, that people should be required to say the pronoun that they have chosen, because that's this sort of weird cultural thing now. But it's not just about control, it's not just about authority, it's also about attention. I mean, drag queens. I doubt there's a drag queen in the world that would even deny it. I don't know if you could go up to a drag queen and say, hey, Madam Jeffrey, or whatever the hell their name might be, are you an attention whore? You know, and Madam Jeffrey will turn to you and they'll say, oh, hell yes, or some whatever it is that, you know, however they respond. But usually these kinds of people who love attention, they have no problem saying that they like attention. I once read that arrogant people will tell you that they're arrogant. And so the best way to find out if somebody's arrogant is just to ask them if they're arrogant. But I think the same thing is true for the kind of people that love attention, right? Like drag queens. You know, and then I think there's a lot of people in between. There are people who are maybe not this sort of, you know, narcissistic authoritarians that want to demand respect of everybody around them, and they don't necessarily always want attention all the time, but they get wrapped up in this trend. They see that other people are demanding respect from everyone. They see these other people who are getting all this attention and they think, oh, that's kind of cool. I can demand respect from people. I can get all this attention. And they're somewhat attracted by both of those things. And so then they start to do it as well. And so you start to see this trend on TikTok of these younger people who are doing all this kind of stuff, not because they need attention, not because they are these authoritarian little psychopaths, but just because they think it's cool. They see other people doing it, they think it's cool, and you get this mimicry, you know, they get this mimicry effect. That's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing tons and tons of people take on new pronouns for a bit of attention, for a bit of control over others, and but it's growing like wildfire. It's getting out of control. And what I found is a lot of the people on Twitter especially have taken on this idea of transgenderism or the transgender cause as the major sort of civil rights battle of the day. A lot of people look at this as their sort of Jim Crow, you know, the thing that they're going to fight. They're going to march on Washington for the rights of trans people. And so they're incredibly indignant about it. They're incredibly angry. They're the most vicious people you'll find on Twitter. If you say anything negative about trans people on Twitter, they will come after you in every possible way they can. I mean, they are nasty. They are vicious. They will go online. They'll try to ruin your reputation online. They'll say just the nastiest things. I mean, really repugnant things on Twitter about you because they think that they're doing the right thing. They think they're fighting the good fight. They're fighting for these vulnerable trans people. And that's exactly how MasterCard is portraying them in the first ad that they did for this product. True Name. The True Name card, right? Now, am I going to boycott MasterCard because of this? No. I'm still going to use MasterCard. I'm still going to use American Express. But I will say that my Capital One Quicksilver card now identifies as an American Express Black card. So I guess I have unlimited credit now. Good for me. All right, well, that's it for me. Be sure to subscribe to my other channel, Mr. Pagan, if you haven't already, for the hilarious comedy stuff. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that they're all completely insane. Good night.
And this idea that government has no other source of power except the sovereign people is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.